Let's go live. And let's mirror that. Optimize for stability. That's already on. We're good. We are good to go. All right. All right, folks. Welcome. Sunday night. It's good stuff. Good stuff tonight. Yeah, buddy. Got some interesting stuff to share with you. I remember, well, hello. I remember way back, way back when I was in the Marine Corps. We used to have infrared scopes. They were huge. They were like that big, about that big around. And I remember my platoon sergeant, I remember him distinctly saying to me, Grant, that fucking scope is worth more than your life. If you drop that fucking thing, I swear to God, I'll shoot you myself. Okay. Well, then, there you have it. I didn't drop it. But I also remember that because of light sensitivity, once you zoomed in on your target, you had to close the front flap on the scope, making it completely and utterly useless. So, the reason I bring that up is because that, if you can read it, it says FLIR. Forward-looking infrared. This plugs into the bottom of an iPhone, and it is an infrared heat-seeking scope. A lot smaller than the one I used to have on my rifle. But it works just as well. It's absolutely amazing. Cool little toy to have. It's also cool if you're in some place like, oh, I don't know, someplace cold, and you want to see if there's anybody out there in the darkness that shouldn't be there, because they will glow. And it's also cool if you point it at the sidewalk outside during the summertime here, and you get a reading of like 160 degrees. I think the reporter pointed a heat sensor at the parking lot she was standing in yesterday, and it read 175. Yeah, that's enough to cook ya, for sure. For sure. Well, we finally figured out what it takes if you're Muslim and you actually want to get killed in Berlin. Yeah, I mean, you can shoot up a town, or run over a bunch of Christmas shoppers, or run over a gay pride parade, and basically the Germans don't really blame you, because you haven't had enough time to adjust to Western civilization. So they want to make sure that they care for you, which means you'll probably end up with 6 months of probation and no jail time. However, this machete-wielding Islamic terrorist killed by cops actually charged at the Berlin police with the machete in hand. And it says, Ball Out was shot dead after advancing towards officers with a bladed weapon. By the way, do I have to mention that he was Muslim, since he used apparently a van to run over a gay pride parade? Queers for Palestine, huh? Really? You think that's such a great idea? Good luck. Good luck with that. By the way, pretty sure AI is over. So if you're looking for a really risky trade that could make you wealthy overnight, look for OEX and XMI puts. You didn't hear that here because I don't give financial advice. Damn, they got me already. Now, wait a minute. What does it say? It says that I redirected people to purchase products outside. What? I just got a restriction for directing people to buy shit from outside of the TikTok shop. What? What the hell are... Oh, I get it. I was okay. Well, you know what? If you can buy OEX and XMI major market puts through the TikTok shop, then go right ahead. But I don't think that's possible. I'm sure of it because I don't know if the TikTok shop actually does major market options. Pretty sure they don't. Yeah. So they've restricted my access to viewers, which means that nobody's going to see this live stream unless I start it over. Okay, let's do that then. Bye-bye.
Just type archive.
Oh, God, the games you got to play. The games. Oh, I love the games. TikTok is the best app you'll ever find. Don't ever get anything outside of the TikTok shop because the TikTok shop is the best shop. It's the only shop. Everything you should buy should be from the TikTok shop. If you buy silver, buy it from TikTok. Don't buy it anywhere else. And just so we're clear, you might want to buy Morgan Silver dollars from the TikTok shop because they're considered collectibles. Yes, I know, Scott, that a lot of people say that every single one of the ads they've seen for silver is a scam. I'm not saying that because even though everyone that I've checked was a scam, that doesn't mean every one of them is a scam. TikTok is the best app in the whole fucking world. This will be worth 90 cents this time next year. Maybe less. Now, here's an interesting factoid. Inflation is running at 3.5 to 3.7, depending on who you talk to, percent per year. Okay. Well, that means that over the course of 10 years, you would lose, compounding it, like 50%. Why the deflation in US? Yeah, that's not a thing. There is no deflation in the US. There is inflation, which, by the way, will probably jump to hyperinflation here shortly. I don't want to be I don't want to be Downy. I don't want to be Debbie Downer. Pausing for effect. However, having said that, I do a lot of research, lots of research. I do all the research you don't have time to because you're out doing your job. My job, on the other hand, is research. So when you're doing your job and putting on a roof or filing something away where it's supposed to go, which I don't know how to do, I would be doing research. Yep, the phone's jiggling because I'm plugging it in, charging. So, I'm about to quit drinking. Quitters never win, and winners never quit. Don't forget that. I get migraines, insomnia, and what? That's what I meant. Sorry. Of course, late here, I get migraines and insomnia. Huh. Well, that sucks. What did I just hear was causing migraines? It could be any fucking thing. I mean, based on what we're eating nowadays, I found out that enriched wheat, the fuck is that? It's not enriched. Oh, but they put folic acid on there. No, it's not natural folic acid like you get from eating like spinach. It's some kind of acid folate. And since they absolutely required everyone in the United States to spray it on their wheat, all of a sudden, colon cancer, colorectal cancer has exploded in this country. Well, what the fuck are we eating? Well, we're eating something that is not good for you because it's just an acid. But doesn't it help women that are pregnant? No, because it's not folic acid. And by the way, I'm not a woman. And I'll have you know, for the record, I'm not pregnant either. So making me eat this folate acid bullshit that they're spraying on every form of wheat and wheat flour is nuts. It turns out that it doesn't help pregnant women because it's not folic acid. And on top of that, it turns out it's extremely toxic for men. Boy, talk about toxic masculinity, huh? They just started it here. Well, you better be careful. I look pregnant. Yeah, that's pasta for you. So yeah, the bottom line is I don't really understand why the US government is trying so fucking hard to poison us. All of us. Not just men, everybody. Makes you wonder. But, it's kind of like deforestation, I guess, for humans. They're not going to need us now that AI can do everything. Oh, wait, that's right. We're starting to figure out that AI doesn't do shit. It doesn't do shit. So we've put trillions of dollars into it. The chip manufacturers are putting trillions, well, hundreds of billions at this point, into AI. And AI companies are then turning around and buying hundreds of billions of dollars worth of chips. And the chip manufacturers' stocks are exploding, giving them enough money to invest in AI. And the AI stock is exploding, giving them enough money to invest in chips. Do you see the problem here? What happens if that cycle stops for just a second? Well, it's kind of like what happens if the rotors on a helicopter stop turning. It's not the fall that kills you. It's the sudden stop at the bottom that kills you. And that is exactly where we are. So if you don't know that the market is about to completely shit the bed, now you know. And as far as what I was saying before, you should obviously call me if you wanted to talk about anything of any substance, or go to YouTube because I can talk about anything I want on YouTube. What's this? Then there are the morons. Shelling out $6, $6 copper for $20. Yes. By the way, don't buy copper right now, unless it's from the TikTok shop, because even though it's $4 a pound, you'll be able to get it for $4 per ton from China. Glad I said that out loud. If you have any old pennies, very old pennies like this. I found that in the garage. This is from oh shit, where is it? When is this from? They're called loops. I actually like to call them birth control because if you wear them, well, you'll never ever get laid. Oh, this one's old. It's beat up, but it's old, and it's 1939. Yeah, that's before 82. All right. It's not that beat up, but it's in VG condition. Very good. Very good is ironically not that good. I found a couple of them actually. What's this one? This one is 1949. It's not a super rare one. On the other hand, it's still got a little color to it, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's one of those things where you gotta love finding something that old that's still a little bit cherry red around the edges. So let's see. I have the 2026 Red Book. If you want, I actually have a copy somewhere. Where the hell did I just see that? See, that's the problem with having so many books. Is I have boxes of books, and I've been looking at bookshelves. I need more bookshelves, but until I get more bookshelves, a lot of the books just sit in boxes. So let's see, what do we got here? Bonds finally bringing the heat, whatever. Iran blasts freeloader Zelensky for ordering deadly attack on Caspian vessel at Israel's behest. Oh boy. Oh boy. Iran blasts freeloader Zelensky, freeloader, for ordering deadly attack on Caspian vessel. Wow. That's going to get ugly real fucking fast if we don't sort of reel that in. That's extremely dangerous shit right there. If Iran decides that Zelensky is trying to keep them from getting wheat or anything else from Russia and decides to step in and play tough guy with Iran, then Iran will literally just flatten Kyiv, and they can do it. And that will put the United States and Israel in a war against Russia and Iran. Well, now there's the fucking trifecta we didn't want, while Israel says, as of last week, hey man, Iran's not our problem. You motherfuckers started that war all by yourselves. You go do it. Go get them. By the way, what is a golem? Now I know you're thinking Gollum is the guy from Lord of the Rings. I think there's a reason he chose that name. And I'm pretty sure I know what it is. What is a golem? Oh, son of a bitch. What is a golem? Oh, it's telling me what a son of a bitch is. What is a golem? A golem is a legendary creature from Jewish folklore, specifically an animated humanoid made from lifeless matter like clay or mud, brought to life through magical rituals. The Hebrew word golem translates to a shapeless mass or unformed thing. That's very interesting because its its danger its danger is that it's used by the ancient Jews to fight their wars for them. Think about that for a second. So, creation, they believe that a golem could be shaped from earth. Let's see. Okay. The danger. Golems obeyed commands blindly, but they often grew too large, violent, and out of control, forcing their creators to deactivate them. Well, fellow golems, that is exactly what the United States of America has become. We are Israel's golem. We are their big, scary, mean, shapeless, formless monster. They say we're going to attack Iran. The United States says, "Oh, no, 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 no. We'll do that. We'll take care of that." And then we go attack it, and they sit back as of last week and go, "Look, whatever happens, happens. God bless you guys. Have at it. We have no interest in being a part of this war." What? Yeah, they have no interest. That is what their defense minister said publicly last week. Israel has no interest in going to war with Iran. Why would they? The U.S. is not mentioned in the Bible. Really? Because we've been around for 250 years, and I thought that the Bible was written like 185 years ago, right? Right before wasn't that what the Civil War was over? Let's see, was Russia named? No. China? No. Uzbekistan? I don't think so. Thank you for following me. Appreciate that. I can't see your name, but I can see your face. I'll remember you, my friend. Israel owns the U.S. right now. Yes, they absolutely do. We are a wholly owned subsidiary of the Knesset and Mossad, especially now that Section 219 of the NDAA has gone through. We'll have the senators voting on that shortly, but do you think any of them have any balls whatsoever? No. Do you think the women have any more moral fortitude than the men? No. If anything, if we've learned anything from the 21st century and the latter 20th century, it is that women are just as full of shit and deceitful as men. They cannot be trusted. They're not better at voting than we are, and they're not better at running a country. They suck just like men. The only difference is a lot more of them are liberal. Oh, that's fucking great. Because, we don't need families. We have the state, and the state will keep us warm. That's a fact. Yep, they're all bought and paid for in Washington. No question about that. The only Republican that voted against the NDAA, the only one, there was one single Republican, Thomas Massey. I mean, Rand Paul? Rand Paul. Yeah, apparently. Amen. Wow. Should not be allowed to vote, huh? That's pretty harsh. It's not like that, it's not like the women who are voting are angry, middle-aged, unattractive women that vote for welfare, and that the married women and the women that find themselves to be attractive and educated vote more conservatively, which means that they're voting just like men, because men overwhelmingly vote conservatively. Portugal just banned the full burqa. I say they ban the full burqa, none of it. I say you should not be allowed to wear a burqa, period. Not any of it. Oh, but God, really? That's what God concerns himself with? Itself, whatever, herself? Yeah. God spends a lot of time looking down through his little rotoscope going, hey, I told those motherfuckers to wear black robes. Oh, that's it. I'm flooding the place again. Flush that handle. No. Where's the shadow government located? I'm going to say that most of it's probably DC. A lot of it's probably in Massachusetts. That way it's got plausible deniability. Anywhere that homes cost $50 million or more, that's where the government is. Because you have to understand something. There's politicians down here, bottom feeding, lying sacks of shit. And then the people above them. Well, London's the financial heartbeat, but that's not necessarily, I mean, look at London. Think about it. If you were one of the wealthiest people in the world, would you live in London? Really? Not a chance, brother. Why isn't silver going up? Well, because right now we're going after a war that is going to do one of two things. It's either going to break the United States financially, which seems to be about a roughly 90+% statement. I mean, it's virtually impossible that it doesn't break us financially. Or B, when it does go, it's going to go like to the moon because we have broken the financial system and nobody wants the American dollar. The Heritage Foundation is the shadow government. Really? If you said it's a piece of the government, that I could believe. But absolutes like the Heritage Foundation is the shadow government, I call bullshit. Oil is the big problem. Well, I can tell you this. Oil is not the big problem. It's a big problem, yes. The big problem is going to be ammonium nitrate and sulfur. Yeah, we're in such insanely deep shit over fertilizer right now. We don't even know where to start. Everyone wants the American dollar for now. That's exactly right. Fertilizer. Every fourth word coming through at times. Well, unfortunately, that's TikTok for you, buddy. That's what happens. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the follow. Here the oil is over double the price. Well, I mean, we've got world markets for oil. So, 120 is 120, 100 is 100. Whether it's Brent crude from the North Sea or whether it's light sweet crude from, Texas, it's all the same. But I will say that gas prices and natural gas, yes, it was rough on the press. I'm sure it was. I can't imagine it wasn't. Because even though they're beholden to him and they kiss his ass and shine his ring, it's not enough. When the reserves run out, will oil scout? No. Unfortunately, we've gotten beyond that now. Oil prices will go up, but they won't go to $200. And the reason they won't is because the United States of America's economy, along with Europe and China's, are in the middle of a complete collapse. That's why it didn't go to $200 when we started bombing Iran. That's why China didn't say a word about oil when all of a sudden the Strait of Hormuz closed. India started screaming like crazy. India was like, hey, man, what the fuck? We want oil. And we said, oh, yeah, India, yeah, and you can even get it from Russia. We suspended our ban on Russian oil so that India could get Russian oil. Why didn't China say anything? Because they're already in financial collapse. They've been buying up oil and putting it in their strategic reserve for 2 years. Look at what really happened behind the scenes. Remember in 2022, way back when I said, it's fucking over. You can go look at my videos. It's over, man. China's done. Well, right about that exact same time, they stopped worrying about getting diesel. Why? Why would you not worry about getting diesel? Diesel powers construction. Diesel powers a booming economy. But they weren't worried about getting diesel from 2024 on. Well, now that's interesting. In 2024, diesel demand dropped off like just off a cliff in China. Well, that's because there's $16 trillion that have disappeared in real estate value. It's a $36 trillion market. It is 64% of their GDP is real estate, and it's gone. They have no GDP. They're trying to switch over to electronics to basically take the place of Taiwan and Japan. But they're done. China is fine. Okay. So am I supposed to argue with an idiot? Is that what you want? You want me to try to prove to you that what I just said is what I just fucking said? China's not fine. And Europe is already toast. So I'm in Ireland. Our oil tanks are very expensive to fill now. Oh, trust me, you're going to get rationing here shortly. It's not going to be a matter of expensive. It's going to be a matter of you stay home and you don't drive on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday and Thursday. Oh, that's right. I started a new live stream. I was like, well, no, I already did reverse it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. What's shaking? Does Brexit have a lot? No, nothing at all. Definitely have some tomato plants. Definitely start a garden, like for real. There will be a military draft starting next year. Absolutely. They will be the financial capital of the world. Okay, so clearly you're Chinese and you're part of the Communist Party, because that's the only time you would ever say something stupid like that. The Chinese are trying to figure out how not to have a famine where the entire Communist Party gets slaughtered by starving people. That's what they're doing right now. They have dozens of cities that could take millions and millions of people, and they're empty, complete ghost towns. See, there it comes, American. I got you. So, yeah, whatever your agenda is, don't try to sell bullshit here. I do my homework. No, why would you want to rejoin the EU? The EU is about to go to war. Are you kidding me? You guys want to stay as far away from the EU as possible, man. Just, do your own thing. It is what's about to happen between Russia and Europe is going to be so fucking ugly. And what just happened with Iran, with Zelensky talking about it, with Zelensky blowing up a tanker full of wheat. What? Why? What are you doing, man? It was on its way to Iran. If Russia wants to send something to Iran and you want to blow it up, are you out of your mind? The last thing that Zelensky wants is Iran on their ass too. Another right-winger trying to stock division. That's Stoke division. And no, I really, really wish that there weren't any division. It would be so nice if Democrats and Republicans could all pull their heads out of their asses and realize there are no Democrats and there are no Republicans. That's it. They're gone. They left town 30, 40 years ago. The only thing left are corporate criminals. That's it. Corporate criminals and religious zealots. That's all we have left. And the corporate criminals, are literally being bribed by the religious zealots. And that's it. That's all there's that's what's left. So if you live in the United States and you're one of these people like I used to be that says, this country's worth fighting for, well, you are one out of every 100 people, maybe less. And that's just the way it is nowadays. Who called and complained? If you didn't call and complain about Section 219 of the National Defense Authorization Act, then you're full of shit. You're not a real American citizen. You're just a consumer. And there should be two classes. If you want to be a citizen, you should have to earn it. That's what we've learned about the American experience, is that just being born here, just plopping out of a woman in this geographic area is not enough to make you an American citizen. An American consumer, yeah, but you should have certain rights. And if you want the rest of them, fucking earn them. Hey, you want to vote? Great. Then do something for the country. Join the Corps. And I don't give a fuck if it's the Marine Corps or the Peace Corps. Doesn't matter. But go serve your fellow man somehow. Either protect him or teach him how to filter water or do something. But hey, just because, look, I was born here. Yeah? Well, guess what? I was born on Fountain Avenue in Hollywood. Do you know what it is now? The hospital I was born in was called Cedars of Lebanon. It's the headquarters of Scientology. Yeah, they bought the building. That means that the building that I was born in is now the headquarters of Scientology. Therefore, I should be able to bunk with Tom Cruise. Not in the same room, of course, because, I'm not really sure what his whole predilection is, but I should at least be able to live at his house. But that's not what happened. So my point is this: just being born somewhere shouldn't give you the rights. You should have to actually learn something, Yeah, I mean, Jesus, guys that fought in World War II, man. And that's the thing. We're going to have that generation again. The kids that are being born today, that's what they're going to go through. That is what they'll go through. They're going to go through a Great Depression starting. My guess would be the Depression will probably start in 2028, 2029. 2027 is when it'll really begin. That's when you're going to start getting like real violence in the streets of the United States. That's when you'll start to see what they'll probably call a civil war, and they'll try to make it between the elites and everybody else. But what it'll probably really be is all of the people who are really, really, really entitled, who think that the United States government owes them. And therefore, because they are disadvantaged, they should be given something. What's my evidence? How about this? Black Lives Matter. That's the most fucking ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life, but everybody bought it, didn't they? Think about it. I don't agree with data centers. No, the data centers that are being born now are absolutely insane. The data centers that are being put up around the country, there's absolutely zero reason for them, other than the fact that now that we are merging our military with Israel's military, they will be able to watch you 24/7. So if you say something like, I just don't understand why Iran is doing what they're doing in Gaza, boom, you're anti-Semitic, that comment will be in your permanent record. Once they build enough records like that, all of a sudden you're going to find it very hard to find a job or get a license or anything else. That is literally where we're heading. And if you think I'm wrong, okay, what's the most heavily surveilled state on planet Earth? Of all the countries, what's the most surveilled? Because it's not China. Without data centers, you learn Mandarin. What? God almighty. That is just so dumb. No, actually, China is probably third or fourth, but Israel is the most surveilled country in the world. There are cameras everywhere. Now, it's for their own protection, of course. And it'll be for your protection too. Now that flock cameras are going in everywhere and the data centers needed to retain that information forever. Once those go in, and by the way, this just to give you an idea of how completely insane this country is right now, how completely dislocated from reality and common sense it is. Right now, they're talking about building a 300 gigawatt system. That's how much, I mean, I can't even wrap my head around how much electricity that is. But the company that's doing it is talking about investing $100 billion in Arizona in order to get this funded. We're about to run out of water. Now, on top of that, we're about to run out of water. The Hoover Dam and the Glen Canyon Dam are about to stop making electricity because they don't have any water to run the turbines, which is going to make a huge problem for all of the Western United States in terms of electricity and water, because we don't have any fucking water. Now, when you factor all that in, and then you realize that we're actually still going out and trying to get people to build data centers in fucking Arizona, you go, what? Are you guys out of your minds? Yes. Fucking nuts. But it gets better because we do have one emergency aquifer in this whole fucking state. And it's just to make sure we never run out of water. Except it sits underneath the Saudi Arabian hay farms that have dropped the entire water table by 50 feet in our emergency aquifer in the Butler Valley. No, private guy, I'm just not a goy turd like you. So here we are running out of water. We're literally funding water for Saudi Arabia to grow hay. Why are they growing hay? Because they want to take the hay back to Saudi Arabia and feed their fucking dairy cows. Well, wait a minute. Why is it that they don't grow it in Saudi Arabia? Because they're not stupid and greedy. They know that the raising hay takes more water than just about any other crop. So they raise their hay over here and waste our water in the desert so that they don't waste their water in the desert. That's pretty smart. Except we're about to run out of water. Now, what happens to property prices when we start really actually running out of water? In about 2 months. It just absolutely blows my mind. Well, they don't need to waste their water because we have the most corrupt politicians in the history of the United States of America. The lakes are full. All right, that's it. Whoa. You don't get to just bullshit and lie. You're done. The lakes are full. An asshole. Bye-bye. See you later. Dean, you lying sack of shit. The lakes are full. They are literally 8 feet above Deadpool zone. That's amazing. Yeah, exactly. Freedom of speech is super important. Goyim or grease for the wheels? Yep. We have plenty of water. I can't believe that stupid turd said that. Literally, we have plenty of water. What? Well, we could build desalinization plants. They're very expensive. We'd have to probably stop doing all kinds of other stupid shit like, I don't know, funding other countries. Hey, how many desalinization plants can you build for $3.8 billion a year, because that's how much we give to Israel every year. And Thomas Massey tried to pass a bill 2 weeks ago that said, look, let's just cut off their funding. We're spending more money giving it to Israel, one of the richest countries in the world. We're spending more money on Israel than we're spending on our homeless veterans. Let's start spending some of the $3.8 billion here in the United States. Every single Republican in Congress voted against it. That's hard to imagine. That's a fact. Data centers are more about control. They're completely about control. Look, China has 451 data centers nationwide, and they surveil their people constantly. You can't go one single block without being on a CCTV camera somewhere. They have facial recognition on everything. Walk into a bus station, walk into a tram station, walk into the airport, walk into a major grocery store or mall. Boom, they got you. So that's 451. We already have 3,000 data centers nationwide, and we want to build 5,000 more. What? Yeah, 5,000 more. The hell? What for? Like, what could you possibly need 5,000 more data centers for? I mean, the guy from Shark Tank, that lion turd, I forget his name, but he's part of the coalition building that huge data center north of Salt Lake City. And they said, look, guys, first of all, we're not going to be using your energy. We've got our own plants that are going in. And don't worry about water. Don't worry about any of that. We're going to be completely self-contained. Well, they got all the permits, and now they're breaking ground. They're doing all this stuff. But hey, guys, it's going to take us 10 years before those plants are up and running. So we're going to have to take your electricity, but don't worry, because we'll spread out the cost to everybody in Salt Lake City. What? Well, it's not really your FICO score. It is a social credit score. And your social credit score, literally, if you make comments that they find that are not pleasing to the CCP, you'll find that you're not allowed to get on a train. You can't board a train. You can't fly anywhere. You'll find that you may have your bank account shut down. If you apply to rent an apartment, you may be denied because your social credit score is no good, and you will certainly not get a job anywhere. That's the kind of power the government has there. You say one fucking thing wrong, and boom, you're done. You're done. Now, you may be lucky. They may snatch you and take you to a re-education camp. And after, 18 months, maybe 2 years of torture and beatings and re-education, they may let you go with a completely clean slate, and you can start over. Kind of like the richest man in all of China, Jack Ma. Jack Ma, richest man in China. And he said that he thought that their government was being a little too authoritarian about something that happened in Hong Kong. Poof! He fucking disappeared. He disappeared for 4 years. By the way, he's not dead. That's what everybody thought. Turns out somebody actually found him living in one of the northwestern provinces up by Siberia. He's a school teacher now for a primary school. This is a guy who had something like $100 billion. He has nothing. That's how fast it changes over there. And that is exactly where we're heading for. That is literally what they are planning on doing here. I mean, look, anybody who says that we should allow a foreign government to take in all of our surveillance, all of our intelligence, all of our secrets, all of our research and development on all weapons systems and defense on top of all of our AI research. That's literally what we just handed to Israel. Everything. How the hell can that happen? Yeah, except if you touch a flock camera and they catch you, you go to prison. And a lot of people in this country, they do not have the guts. They will not protest. They will not stand up. Now, they might go out and burn down a fucking Kentucky Fried Chicken because of Black Lives Matter. Sure, they'll do something like that. But, would they actually do something that matters? No, not a chance. Yeah, no shit. MAGA. There is no such thing as MAGA. There is no MAGA. It is make Israel great again. And we've proven that. Look, people who say, oh, that's bullshit, really? Why did the United States of America just vote last week to integrate our entire defense department, all of our armed forces, with them? Why did we do that? What does that do for the United States of America? Nothing. But you know how they pitched it? You're going to fucking love this. Netanyahu started pitching this a month and a half ago on television here. He said, look, I don't want to take any more money for Israel. Israelis don't want a handout. We would rather have more of a, that's all. We just want a partnership. So you don't want $3.3 billion in direct cash plus all the other stuff, almost $4 billion. Well, I don't think there is anything called communism anymore. Let's see. Communism. Is there a communist country in the world? Oh, North Korea. That's it. That's the only one left. China's not communist. Yeah, the Chinese Communist Party. You think they're communist? In a communist country, everything is owned by the state. There are no private businesses. But in China, they've got tons of private businesses. They got tons of corporations. Now, granted, the corporations all basically give whatever they find out about the United States to the CCP, but can you have private wealth? Yeah. Well, now the DNC is a little different. That's socialism. And socialism is even more dangerous because that tells people, hey, man, that old-fashioned marriage bullshit, you don't need that, man. That's retarded. Look, what you should do is you should go out and have sex with anybody you want, as much as you want. Don't worry about a man in your life. Men are useless and women can do anything that a man can do, but better. And you should have lots and lots of children, but out of wedlock, because fuck men. You don't even need those guys. Like, who needs a family? Well, if you can get all the money that you need from the state, you don't need a man. You can marry the state instead of marrying a man. And then you don't have to put up with anybody throwing their underwear on the bathroom floor. Because the state, well, they just give you money. And they give you, food stamps and whatever else you need to survive. And what do they ask in return? Nothing. So if you're an unwed mother, so what? Doesn't matter. I can just go to the state. Oh, all right. Well, that's pretty toxic for families. Yeah, but families are fucking old school, man. That's bullshit. Like, who believes in families anymore? That's a Judeo-Christian, Muslim. Okay, well, yeah, that's actually 3 major Western religions all believe in marriage. Well, fuck them. Look, religion is bullshit too. What you need is the state. Oh, wait a minute. Now that sounds like communism. And that is exactly what the Democratic Party has turned into in the United States. Now, it's not a communist country yet, but they're definitely pushing in that direction. And who pushed Russia into becoming communist? The Bolsheviks. And who were the Bolsheviks? Jews. Oh, I said it out loud, didn't I? And who funds all of the Muslims that are pouring into Europe? The NGOs. Well, that's the same group. People like George Soros, who's very proud of the fact that, yes, I'm helping integrate Europe. No, you're helping invade Europe and destroy Europe, and they're going to have a civil war. But wait a minute, that would actually be good, right? Take all the people who are in charge now and make sure that you completely and totally decimate them. Make sure that the only way to collapse the United States of America is from the inside. Because if anybody else attacked us from the outside, well, ask the Japanese what happens. You can't attack the United States from the outside. Or all of a sudden we stop bickering over stupid shit and we all fight together. So instead, you have this group over here yelling about this, and this group over here yelling about their rights, and this group over here yelling about their rights. And pretty soon, everybody's just yelling about everything. Black Lives Matter. Oh, yeah, right. Because, everybody was saying before that they didn't. Oh, that's right. Nobody said that. Nobody said that. Yeah, but white cops. Okay. White cops what? What are we talking about here? Well, every once in a while they shoot a black person. Oh, all right. Well, is 78% of violent crimes committed by young black men? Uh-huh. Do you see the police shooting little old black ladies? No. What about 70-year-old black men that are still wearing a suit and tie to church? They don't get shot up so much. What about a 14-year-old with his pants around his ass who pulls something out of his back pocket in the dark alley when he's told to halt? Yeah. Okay, well then let's turn that into a reason to have literally the entire country burn itself to the ground. That's where we're at. That is literally where we're at right now. And of course, the state is the answer to everything if you're a lefty. The state will take care of everything. More government will fix the problem. Okay, well, I appreciate the hanging lights. Those are kind of cool. I didn't even know we had those. So, we can look at truth, but we'll all get banned. Like everybody in this live stream could say something true, but we'll get kicked off of TikTok and we'll probably get canceled for it because truth is not a real popular thing right now. That is the bottom line. And, in this country, what's true? Like, what's true? I'm on the wrong side of TikTok. That's funny. Not sure what that means. You look at what's going on right now, and it's really hard. It's really hard not to identify just how bad it's about to get. Now, there's lots of distractions. There's lots of bread and circus. But and there's lots of, hey, don't look there, look over here. But you have to decide what is important to you. Why did Building 7 fall down? I think we all know the answer to that, but we don't want to talk about that because, then you're just a crazy conspiracy kook. But, I'll give you an example. I was super excited. And I even said on one of my videos that I was cautiously optimistic when Trump got elected. And why was I cautiously optimistic? Somebody actually asked me that on a live stream. And I said, well, I'm cautiously optimistic because he said that we're going to replace income tax with tariffs. And tariffs on foreign products is how the United States functioned for about 135, 140 years before we switched over to, hey, let's fuck the people that live here out of their entire paycheck constantly. And we'll just keep taking more and more and more and more. Instead of that, it was, hey, we've got this really cool little situation over here in the United States. You want to sell some shit over here? Cool. But you got to pay us. You got to give us a little bit. Oh, okay. Well, a foreign market that big is worth having to pay a little bit of a tariff. Look, do we pay tariffs? Did you know that a Camaro costs 135,000 fucking dollars in Germany? Yeah, that's a 90% fucking tariff. Why do they get tariffs and we don't? Well, because they want tariffs. So when Trump said we're going to have tariffs, I thought that is fucking brilliant. I did the research. I found out that it's not just a bullshit pipe dream, one of these pathetic things where you throw it out there and hope it sticks. No, it could actually work. Economists were like, yeah, you could do that. I said, okay, awesome. And then he said, look, this Epstein thing, this cannot stand. We need the Epstein files opened up. We need complete accountability. Let's just fucking rip the Band-Aid off. And whatever's underneath, we treat it. And I thought, hell yeah. That is absolutely the way that it should be. Let's do it. Let's find out who is for sale in this country. That didn't happen either. Okay, well, that's 2 out of 2. Oh, there was one other thing that he said that was absolutely not negotiable. No more wars. No more of these, as he put it, endless, ceaseless, stupid wars. And where are we now? Well, we just attacked a country 5 times the size of Iraq with approximately 4 times the population of Iraq. And it's not flat like a pancake like Iraq. It is completely mountainous. Well, look, if it had been one or the other, we're going to release the Epstein files. We can't. There's national security concerns, and it's bad. But you're going to have to trust that we are going to take action. We know who these people are, and over the course of the next weeks, months, and years, you will see these people perp walked. All right. If it's national security, I'm not sure I believe you, but I'll do my best. Okay. But the Epstein files are absolutely, unequivocally the most important thing to do. There are no Epstein files. There's no evidence that Epstein trafficked anyone to anyone else. He only used these teenage girls for himself. And there are no Epstein files. There's something very, very, very suspicious about the way Epstein died too. No, well, we're sure he killed himself. Okay. All right. You're absolutely sure. Yes, we're sure he killed himself. Okay, great. Then explain to me the autopsy. The autopsy is the autopsy. I mean, it's an autopsy. What do you want from us? Well, I would like you to explain how Epstein medically regrew a prostate, because the guy that was autopsied had a prostate and they recorded it. Average size, average weight, appeared to be healthy. Epstein had his prostate removed 4 years prior to that and made comments to his friends in emails that were released in the Epstein files about having his prostate removed. Now, a prostate is not like a gecko's tail. It doesn't just grow back. Who the fuck did they autopsy? Well, we don't know. Okay, well, you put him in the ambulance. Well, okay, there were 2 ambulances. What? Well, we took a thing that looked like a body and we rolled it out to one ambulance, but that was just to distract the paparazzi. What paparazzi? Nobody even knew yet. You hadn't announced it yet. Yeah, but just in case there were any paparazzi, we used 2 ambulances. And one went to the hospital, to the morgue, and then the other one went don't know where. Well, I mean, obviously, look, J.D. Vance doesn't come out and say that he thinks Epstein was Israeli Mossad unless it's been cleared through all of the channels, all the way to the very, very, very top. So if JD Vance comes out on Joe Rogan's show, which he did, and says, I think Epstein was Mossad, I think that's pretty clear. It's like, whoa. Yeah, Lee, I do a lot of research on this shit because I want to know. And, I know enough now. Now I know enough. I know enough that I'm done. Look, I can't, doing this by myself is fucking ridiculous. And there are so many people out there that are so completely entrenched in the idea that, oh no, Donald Trump's a great guy. No, we all agreed that he's a piece of shit, but at least he was going to be a good president. Like, he's a bad human, Look, the first few copies of Prince Andrew's biography, his autobiography. I believe there were 6,000 of them that were distributed and purchased before Donald Trump found out that in it, Andrew said that Donald Trump met his wife through Jeffrey Epstein, who she had been dating. Oh shit. They went and they rounded up every fucking copy that hadn't been sold. But there are 6,000 copies of Prince Andrew's autobiography where he mentions specifically that Melania Trump was Epstein's girlfriend. Well, son of a gun. It just keeps getting uglier and nastier and dirtier, doesn't it? Yes, it does. So, what do you do? Like, what do you do, man? The more of the shit you find out, the more you just go, oh my God, what the fuck? Like, really? Well, I mean, we suspected that something was up with Melania. Well, when her friend reacted the way she did, she was I forget her name, it's a very famous Brazilian model. And, she was married to one of, oh yeah, it's totally true. She was married to one of Trump's buddies. Well, they got divorced, and Trump's buddy called him and said, hey, look, do me a favor. This bitch wants custody of our son. 86er. So the ICE came to her house and arrested her and deported her. Just like that. Just overnight. She's gone back to Brazil, even though she's been here for 25 years now. So she finally had enough, and she went public and said, look, Melania, you guys literally turned your back on me when I needed you. I've been there for you. I've kept all your fucking secrets, and I have all of them. And I will absolutely fucking destroy you now because of what you just did to me. Oh. And then Melania came out literally the next day and held a conference and said, these issues is this not good? And it's like, okay. So she's telling people that you got to stop talking shit about me. Really? This is a press conference that the first lady's going to have? I thought if you're the first lady, you're above this. The paparazzi can say whatever they like. You're above this. You don't get down and roll around in the mud with the pigs. Yeah, you do. Especially if you're one of them. The bottom line is this. These people that are in Washington are all traitors. But does anyone in the United States of America have the appetite for what it takes to change out our current system? Nope. And I'm not talking about a violent overthrow. People just need to go out and vote. But the problem, of course, is what are you going to vote for? You're going to vote for the Democrats? Because that's what's going to happen. That's what's about to happen. Well, if the Democrats get in, you don't have to worry about a draft. We'll end the Iraq War, right? Oh, really? Will we? There's going to be a lot of hand wringing. Oh, gosh, what are we doing over there? We should stop. We're the good guys, not those bad Republicans, not those damn Nazi Republicans. They're just all white supremacist Christians. Terrible, terrible Goyim. Yeah, okay. So then what? You think the Democrats will stop a war? Not a fucking chance. Bottom line is, at this point, it's done. Like saying I want to get off this ride when you're at the top of the roller coaster and that click, 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 click has stopped. And now you're about to go down the other side and you're like, oh, I want to get off now. Hey, fuck you. You're the one who got on the ride. You didn't say a word. There's that chicken exit right there by the fucking ride. And you can walk out that door anytime you want. But nope, you got on the ride. So enjoy it. The thing is, people say to me all the time, so like, are you a prepper or something? Well, I wasn't, but I could tell you this, if you're holding on to a bunch of these, this is going to lose 9% of its value this year. You explain to me how that's 3.5% inflation. That's insane. That's absolute insanity. How's it going to lose that much if it's 3.5% inflation? Well, inflation, that doesn't take into account all of the things that you buy every day. Oh, okay. So what does it not take into account? Well, it's just little stuff, really, like housing. What? Wait, you're kidding, right? Like that's something that you don't take into consideration in the consumer price index. Now just think about those words, let those sink in. The consumer price index. So it's an index of prices for consumers. You like how I did that? And yet we're gonna say that everything that you need to survive is on this list, except maybe food or fuel. I mean, come on, food and fuel, that's too volatile. Yeah, that's the fucking point. It's too volatile. You're killing people. You're literally killing people in the United States. Well, no, we're not. How? Let's see. When people can't afford real food, what do they buy? They buy whatever the cheapest stuff is, the processed shit food. They eat mac and cheese out of a box. And exactly how long do you expect them to live if every day they're eating mac and cheese out of a box with powdered cheese? And of course, because our government loves us, margarine, which is so much better for you than butter. Just a little bit of hydrogenated palm oil. But yeah, I saw that 71,000 homeless people in LA. Woo! You know what we call that? That's a super spreader event, baby, right there. That is a super spreader event. Yeah, 33% in 7 years. That sounds about right. The cost of fuel's up 35% this year. Gotta love those wars. Now, it would have gone up by about 200%, except this is so bad for our economy right now that our economy is going into a recession. So everything's shutting down, which means we don't need as much gasoline anymore. Oh, joy. That is just so fucking good to hear. We don't need the oil because, well, our economy's collapsing. And that's exactly what just happened with China. That's why China wasn't screaming at the top of their lungs about us getting the fuck out of Iraq and opening the Strait of Hormuz. Because they're buying oil every month to try to prove to the world that they still need oil because they're just fine. Our economy's just fine. No, it's not. It's not just fine. Because if you actually look at where that oil's been going for the last 2 years, it's been going into their strategic petroleum reserve. Aren't they using it? Nope. So Why are they still buying it? Because they know that the amount of fuel that you use for your economy tells everybody in the world how healthy your economy is. Huh. So it's like during COVID when we checked smog levels over all of the provinces that manufacture in China. And we saw that all of their factories were running big time. Even though we shut down our economy, they didn't shut down their economy. Their factories were still running at full capacity. Until the CIA announced that, oh, by the way, yeah, we sent our spooks out there to look. They're running full blast, but they're empty. There are no employees in them. They're running the factories to make smog so that we, with our satellites, will fly over and see the smog levels are the same and go, damn, their economy's still going full blast. What the fuck? That's the game that we play with China all the time. But the reality is this: they're in deep shit. They're solar advanced big time. Okay, well, there's another myth I can bust for you, because I literally have watched guys go out to those enormous solar farms, huge solar farms, hundreds of thousands of panels. And before they get kicked out of there by the army, it's a private company running these, right? Go out and look. Those solar panels are mounted, but they're not connected. But you can see them from space, can't you? Oh, yeah. Our spy satellites fly over and we see those massive solar farms. And we go, whoa, they're so far ahead of us. Those aren't connected. They're out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Do you know what kind of connections? Do you know how monstrous the power lines would have to be to even carry that shit? So they built power lines that aren't connected to anything, but they're not that big. They're not big enough. They didn't really add it up. And then if you go between the solar plants, which show how amazing their electrical system is, you go between there and you go to the city, somewhere right in the middle, you should find somewhere in the neighborhood of between 10 and 12 million electric vehicles rotting, just rotting away. Oh, they build them. Sure, they build them. But it's mostly scams. Lots of scams. Well, now we all know that windmills give seagulls cancer, or whatever the fuck Trump said. Bottom line is he hates windmills because he owns the Trump golf course in Scotland, and they were going to build windmills off the coast of Scotland. And he said, no. You can't build windmills out there in the ocean. That will obstruct my views. And they said, yeah, go fuck yourself. You don't even live here. Yeah, they do have a lot of bikes. Yeah. China's funny because their attitude is, hey, look, you guys want to ditch coal? Great. More coal for us. They're not ditching coal. Yeah, the problem is that the Chinese right now are famous for more than their manufacturing. They're really, yeah, that would be fun, putting a data center next to Mar-a-Lago. The Chinese are more famous for their attitude, their culture. And their culture is, and this is one of their most famous sayings in China: if you can cheat, cheat. I've lived in Japan. I cannot imagine a Japanese man saying that. I absolutely can't. I can't even imagine. I'm sure that there are probably some Japanese men out there who do cheat, but that is not their culture. That is not their culture. Their culture is absolutely 100% honor. It's all about honor. It's all about doing the right thing, especially when no one's looking. Yes. Yeah. China and Japan are completely opposite. Totally opposite. The Chinese, their attitude is, hey, you know what? If I can cheat you then and get away with it, then hey, you had it coming. You're stupid. Are they Christians? No, not a lot. There's some Christians there, but in the 1800s up until pretty recently, if you were a Christian, you like just not not big on Christians. China right now is extremely anti-Christian, but that's because they're still holding on to the old religion is poison thing. See, religion is poison if, for example, in Russia, there were hundreds of millions, or about 100 million, Christians in Russia, and during the Bolshevik Revolution, there were a very specific group of people who made sure that all of those Christians were killed during the revolution. And the funny thing is, nobody really thought too much about it. But if you killed 40 million Christians, what'd you do with all that money? Well, you know what's interesting is what was it? Oh shit! I always forget the name of it. Qui Gong, Feng Shui, whatever the fuck. They had a, it wasn't really a religion. It was a spiritual movement that they practiced in China, and it was really interesting because in the late 40s, early 50s, basically what they did was they wanted everybody in China, the Communist Party wanted everybody in China to become a part of this I think it was Qigong. It might have been, yeah. It was Qigong was the name of it. And basically it was prayer, meditation. It was almost like oh shit. Tai Chi in a way. It was going through these movements and breathing and relaxing, calming yourself. And it was extremely popular. It was super popular in China. And it was something that the Chinese Communist Party promoted very heavily because they saw, 50, 100 million people doing this sort of inner work and calming themselves and being very focused. And, it's like, okay, when these people, when they get to the point where they've gone through all of their exercises and they've done their thing, this is awesome because now they can go to work and they can work their asses off in factories and do whatever they need to do. And they're very peaceful. And that's what we want because we got a huge population. And a huge population is a double-edged sword. It can make you very wealthy instantly. You got 1 billion people, take $5 from every single one of them. Think about that. Okay. So it can make you very wealthy to have a population that big. On the other hand, in a place like China where people are extremely, extremely sort of, old school and very superstitious, shit can spread like that. So you got to be very careful about how you promote anything. Well, as I heard it, Mao Zedong found out that there were actually more people practicing Qigong than there were members of the Communist Party. When he found that out, that day, he literally made Qigong illegal. Too many people doing it, too much power, too much influence. Instantly, he made it illegal. Now, at the time, people didn't understand why. They thought it was silly. Like, what a silly thing to do. All we're doing is we're just practicing, breathing, and it's so simple. So they kept practicing it, except they did it in secret. Well, you can't do that in China. So at this point, there have been several million people who have been executed because they practiced basically Tai Chi and breathing techniques and meditation. That's a little nuts, actually. Where to go? It's a very good question. Europe is about to explode. There's no question. I mean, every time you turn around, you can see that there is another attack. There's another group of Muslims that have killed a bunch of people and or graped and or essayed some little girl somewhere in some what used to be a trust-based economy, and now it's just disgusting. I think the midterms are going to be an absolute ass whooping by the Democrats. I think that a lot of people, a lot of Republicans are just going to stay home. They're just done. As far as where to flee, the only thing I can think of that really makes sense to me is either Uruguay or Paraguay. That's about it. That's really I see. And certainly I like Argentina, but Argentina is literally being sold off in huge swaths to Israel. It's it's this kind of stuff that we don't see here, but there are hundreds of reports of Israeli citizens going there on vacation to go backpacking and accidentally setting fire to national forests and burning the place to the ground. At which point they're saying, well, we're really sorry. We didn't mean to start that fire. Oh, by the way, now that national park is been deforested, are we allowed to buy that? And the president, strangely enough, just changed the laws so that foreign nationals like the Israelis can now buy up national park land if it's been destroyed by, say, I don't know, a fire, a natural disaster. Weird, right? Just, it's a coincidence, I'm sure. By the way, the people in Argentina are freaking out over this, and there's hundreds of videos online of people that are pulling up to campsites where you can see somebody starting a fire in the bushes, and they say, "Hey, what are you doing?" And the guy turns and he starts talking, and it's like, "Oh, you're Israeli. Wow, gee, what are the odds that an Israeli person is starting a fire? What a coincidence." Maybe. So that's been going on a lot. Israel going to India for vacations. Yeah, not really. Nobody, this is the funny thing. Nobody wants Israelis in their country on vacation. Like, Thailand is so fucking sick of them. Thailand is so sick of them. Everybody's tired of Israelis going to whatever country and acting like, hey, we own the place. Hey, get me more water. Oh, well, why don't you just ask your waiter nicely? No, I don't have to ask. Look, if I'm going to pay for this, you're going to fucking go get it. Oh, okay, well, get the fuck out of my restaurant then. That's literally the way that, especially in Thailand, because that was where a lot of Israeli, like, IDF soldiers went after they got done shooting babies in the face. They went over to Thailand to, relax, blow off a little steam, have a little fun, maybe, diddle a few lady boys. I don't know. But whatever they were doing over there, they are now universally hated. What country is it? What country is considering banning Israeli tourists? Well, the Maldives did it. That's done. Let's see. The reason the decision was made in solidarity, with Palestinians amid the war. Travel advisory. Okay, but wait. 13 countries. Oh, now we get the real truth. 13 nations continue to blacklist the Israeli passport. And they are, where are they? Show me, baby. Let's see. Oh, shit. I can't tell what they are, and I don't want to play a video. What? Oh, come on. Rochester man given 180 days in jail for graping girls. The victims were between 4 years old and 9 years old at the time. I'm telling you, man, these freaking white people. Just kidding. He's not white. The fatigue is real, folks. The fatigue is real. There's no question about that. The fatigue is legitimate. Now, when you've got, what's his name? Cenk Uyghur. I think he's Turkish. He's on RT. He's on Russia Today, and it's interesting because he's very lefty, and Tucker Carlson was very righty, and I saw the two of them do a podcast together, and it was actually hilarious because they agreed on way too much, and they both laughed about it. Like, wow, this should not be happening. Like, clearly there's something going on in this country because we're not supposed to agree this much, but they do, and there's a reason for that. Let's see. I think Americans are good, but America will be taken over and destroyed from inside by the Zionist lobby. The Americans do not see this. They are getting decadent. The Zionists will use this to destroy them. Muammar Gaddafi, interviewed in Tripoli in August of 1986. I believe that was 40 years ago. And 40 years ago, Muammar Gaddafi said that we were getting decadent and the Zionists would use this against us. Well, I'll be dag-nabbed. Well, now this is interesting. It says here that McConnell says the fall led to his hospitalization, breaking weeks of silence about health condition. Am I supposed to believe that somebody actually heard from him? Just like the Roman Empire. Well, by the way, the Roman Empire is literally how Benjamin Netanyahu looks at us. The United States and Western Europe, especially the UK, and therefore Australia, he looks at as the new Rome. And the battle that the Jews must fight is against Rome. And he actually said, and I saw him say it, we lost last time against Rome, not this time. Really? Well, that's very interesting. That is very, very interesting because I've never even been to Rome, but apparently I'm the new Rome. Oh, boy, I got to tell you. So a guy posted last night. I read his post. It said, "What do you think my Kawasaki ZX-14 is worth?" And I said, there people were saying, $9,000, $10,000, whatever dollars. I said, it's worth more than your pathetic life if you actually sell that beautiful piece of art. He thought that was pretty funny. There are a few things that I still really enjoy doing. Riding a motorcycle is one of them. Wow. Call me crazy, but I'm proud our country's commander in chief is Donald Trump. Well, there's a guy who just not been paying attention. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of is he's just not paying attention. Wow. Titania McGrath says U.S. firefighters are 96% men, and their average salary is $46,000. But receptionists in the United States are 95% female, and their average salary is only $35,000. Do you still think that the gender pay gap is a myth? Now, I hope that this is just rage bait, because comparing firefighters who actually fight, but they don't fight kittens wearing mittens, and they don't fight overweight 70-year-old people. They fight fires. Like, the sun is made out of fire. So, and they only make $11,000 more for running into burning buildings. Now, I get it. Receptionists have a very, very tough life. You could accidentally break a nail when you're pulling out a drawer. It's not easy to lie 200 times a day when you say, so-and-so is on line 2, and he says, tell him I'm out to lunch. You're like, oh, God, I'm going to hell because of this job. I'm sorry, he apparently just left for lunch. Yep, that's it. California firefighters are making $200,000. That just smells like bullshit. How much do firefighters in California make? Aha, average annual salary of $98,000. Well, that's a shitload, but it's not even half of 200,000. Sorry, Donovan. Getting coffee is dangerous. Think about this. You're wearing high heels, which is sexist as fuck right there. You should sue them just because of that. But you trip. You splash yourself in the face. Yeah, it could happen. They get a ton of OT. Donovan, stop, baby. I love you. Shut up. The average annual salary is $98,200. You just said 200,000. That's a lot of OT. And by the way, that would count as their average salary. But it says here the median wage sits at $83,400. What? In California, the highest paying state in the nation for this profession. According to data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, the median annual wage sits at $83,400, though actual take-home earnings vary depending on experience, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so if you're entry level, you're at $47,000 to $51,000. Wow. Mid-level, $77,000 to $83,000. And if you're a senior or real top earner, like the 90th percentile, you can make between $123,000 and $143,000. Now, the Santa Clara Fire Department pays firefighter 2 positions, which is the senior position, $172,000. Still not 200, but it's okay. It's close. 85,000. Now that's some serious pay. It's not bad. mean, for a grunt, now granted, you're specialized grunt, you're still a fucking grunt. Get off your soapbox there, big boy. Just a grunt. The good news is that as truly just a grunt, I didn't have to do any of the crazy shit that blew out my knees or my back or anything else. And that's the kind of shit that anybody that does, shall we just say, special stuff. It's for the special kids that grew up special. And then they decided that they wanted to be extra special and jump out of airplanes at 50,000 fucking feet of altitude in the middle of the night. Halo jump, baby. Halo. High altitude, low open. Nope. Not a chance. Well, you know, if you go through special ed, then you get to be in special forces. That's how that works. Yeah, it's funny because I found out that Gulf 25, my unit, was considered, they wouldn't consider us special forces because technically the Marine Corps doesn't play well with others. So we're not allowed to be special forces. But what was the term that they used? We were operationally special forces qualified or adjacent. It's like, so are we or are we not? Well, yeah, you're a boat company and yeah, you sneak around and you work with SEALs and whatnot, but no, you're not special forces. It's like, no, that's fucked. Forced recon. I love the way you said that because you don't realize the joke that you just made, but that's like being voluntold to do something. Yeah, it's forced recon, and forced recon is well, actually, I guess now they've reconstituted raiders, and Marine raiders are absolutely special forces guys. There's no question. They're definitely tier one guys. They're like SAS, SBS, Delta, SEALs, DevGru, which is SEAL Team 6, which is development group. Who else? That's about it. I mean, you know, there's some Rangers out there that still have a Ranger tab, but they're more than just your average Ranger. You know, they may not be Delta qualified, but you know, they're pretty gungy dudes. And then of course you've got Green Berets, but Green Berets are different because Green Berets aren't specifically combat troops. They're combat adjacent. They're sent into, oh yeah, voluntold, baby. If he was a Ranger, if your dad was a Ranger in World War II, that means that he was one of the very first Rangers ever, because the Ranger Battalion was instituted during World War II. And yes, he would have only been against Japan because that's where the first Ranger Battalion went. The first Ranger Battalion, there's a book called Ghost Soldiers by Hampton Sides. I read that book in 2003, and it was fucking unbelievable. It was unbelievable. It's one of the greatest war stories ever told. And it's absolutely a true story. Ghost Soldiers is one of the best books I've ever read. And it is absolutely amazing. It's about the first Rangers. You definitely want to read that because I guarantee you that your father was probably part of this operation. And basically what it was take a small Ranger detachment, brand new guys, just got done with their training, never been on a mission. Of all things, this is the first fucking Ranger mission. Their job was to go 30 miles behind the Japanese enemy lines. And keep in mind, this was near the end of the war. So we're talking about real, honest to God, battle hardened Japanese Marines. These aren't children. These are guys that have been fighting in jungle warfare for 6, 7, 8 years. These are some nasty motherfuckers. They don't give up. You kill them or they kill you. That's it. There is no third option. So that's what they were sent in to do, was go behind enemy lines by 30 miles and to rescue, I want to say it was 700 prisoners of war. We found out that as we were advancing through the Pacific, the Japanese, because of the torture that they had committed against our prisoners, they didn't want the prisoners to be able to ever testify in a court later. So, for instance, on one island, this was near the Philippines, they had an air raid siren go off. And all of the POWs ran down into the underground air raid shelter, at which point they knocked over a couple barrels of aviation fuel, which drained down into the underground, and then they lit it on fire. And they just burned 100 and some odd American and British prisoners to death. Apparently, somehow, 2 of them had managed to escape and jump off of a cliff into the Pacific Ocean. And they were found by Americans. It was days later, after the Japanese had left, and buried that shelter so that there was no trace of it. They found these Americans, and the Americans told them, look, as they're island hopping backwards towards Japan, they're just killing off all the POWs so that they can't testify against them. Wow. Yeah, Ghost Soldiers is one of the best books I've ever read. And I've probably read several thousand books now, usually at least 1 or 2 a week, sometimes more. So, yeah, once the Americans found that out, they hit the beach, and I don't remember if it's Corregidor or Bataan. I think it was Corregidor. And they realized, holy shit, there's a POW camp 30 miles behind enemy lines. And as they're falling back, they're going to kill all of these. It had to have been near Bataan, because I remember in the story, some of the prisoners that were there had been taken during the Bataan Death March. They hadn't been taken to that camp. I'm wrong. They had been taken to other camps and basically bounced around till they ended up there. But they'd been prisoners for all of World War II. I mean, these guys were just unfucking believably starved and malnourished and just barely hanging on to life. And so these Rangers were told about this, and they were told, look, we're thinking that we might try to send somebody in there. The problem is that there are maybe 1,000 Japanese between here and there. And then the camp itself has got a quarter of a mile of completely flat farmland that's been tilled. So there's basically just a few weeds, no cover for the last quarter of a mile, and Japanese guard towers everywhere. So basically it's going to be a suicide mission is the bottom line. And the Rangers said, suicide mission? Sign me up. I'm in. Yeah. Men were men back then. That is whatever the opposite of masculine toxicity is. Yeah, that's what these guys were. So I won't give you the rest, but I will say this just to in case you're thinking maybe I won't buy that book. What they didn't know was that there were actually 5,000 Japanese Marines that had posted up just outside the prison camp. Nobody knew that when they left to go try to raid the prison camp and free the hostages. So it was pretty fucking wild. Dad grew up in Dakota. Was there only one back then? Shit, I thought there were always two. There's, well, let's see, there's South Dakota and then there's Southern Canada. Okay, so yeah, so Dakota. Because anything north of that is just Canada. Fuck it. There's no point in even calling it anything else. So, all right, guys. Well, you know what? It's 9:00. I am going to. Oh, by the way, I got to get a new scale. I messed it up somehow, and it's giving me readings all over the place. But the last reliable reading that I got was 303 pounds, which, considering that it was a month ago last Thursday, 1 month since I'd started taking this Retrutide, and I've lost 30 pounds exactly in a month. And, you know, like I've lost 30 pounds in a month before. I actually lost 40 pounds in a month once, just training. And, you know, when you're training and you're eating right and you're working out really hard and all that shit, that's one thing. This was kind of like falling out of a bass boat and hitting water while being in the middle of a lake. It was that easy. It was super simple because I'm just, you know, I'm like, there are times when my stomach is growling and I'm hungry and I know I'm hungry, but I'm not really necessarily ready to eat yet. I can feel my stomach growling and I just think, wow, that's cool. Stomach's growling. I got to be losing weight today. And then usually I'll eat once in the evening. I'll eat something fairly small, actually. I'm just not that super hungry. I did make myself a 1.5 pound hamburger. I had 3 pounds of hamburger. My kid wanted one and I wanted one. So we made hamburgers that were literally this big and we put them on buns that were the extra large buns. You couldn't even see the bottom bun. But yeah, that's the largest amount of food I've eaten on this. And needless to say, my stomach really fucking hurt after that for a while. Hit the plateau on weight loss. It happens, you know. But the good news is that at this point, I stole a couple of my kids, what were they? Tater tots today. That's it. No, I don't have a problem. Look, if you really want to lose weight, eat that contaminated Taco Bell lettuce. Although Taylor Farms, they got that in my store. Like when I go to the grocery store, Taylor Farms right there, triple washed for your protection. Apparently triple washed in water that somebody has shit upon, or I should say shat upon. Rice cakes. I did get some rice cakes. Problem with rice cakes is if you get the caramel rice cakes, those are the ones that taste good. They're not exactly calorie free, and you will eat them nonstop all day. Cost of the Retrutide. I'm paying $299 a month, which I think is actually a shitload, but it's from a reputable pharmacy, which is good. And I'm only going to need it for 2 months. Like if I lose another 30 pounds or even 20 pounds, I will be more than happy. And at that point, it'll be time to hit the testosterone replacement. By the way, everybody who was saying TRT is dangerous, well, they're all eating their words now because the new studies that have come out that are massive, like multi-year, multi-country studies are showing 15% drop in all-cause mortality if you're on testosterone. All-cause mortality. That's stroke, heart attack, cancer, across the board, 15% drop, all-cause mortality if you're on testosterone. So all those people that said, oh, you can't take that, it'll give you cancer, it'll fucking bullshit. DHEA. I've taken that before. It gave me odd dreams where I was strangling people to death. They were bad people. Don't get me wrong, I'm still a good guy, but fighting weight of 150 pounds. Oh, I was going to say, if you're trying to lose 150 pounds, you definitely, yes, you got to donate blood all the time. Yep, TRT will make your blood super thick. And the reason is, it's just that you've got more red blood cells, which is awesome because you heal faster. It also increases the amount of protein that can get to your muscles so that you can recover faster. But you got to get your blood monitored every month or two. If you don't, it's no bueno. So make sure you do that. And, donate blood. Why not? Well, shit, if you're like a skeleton when you lose weight, go have a shake and don't worry about it. If I walk by a piece of cake, I gain 3 pounds. That's my problem. I can put on muscle really fast, but I can also put on every other thing really fast, and that's no good. When you're 6'7", if you weigh over 300 pounds, no, I am tired of people trying to take my picture every time I walk into a bunch of trees because they think I'm a fucking Yeti. It's no bueno, man. I am not a Bigfoot. I have a big foot, but I'm not a Bigfoot. It's a difference. So, all right, I'll see you guys tomorrow night for sure. Let's see what silver does. Silver should be interesting. 81 cents. Holy shit, how'd I make 81 cents? That's crazy. I made 81 cents. More than one ingestion is using your primary URL. Send one stream to the primary page. This is the primary page. I have no idea. All right, well, I will see you guys tomorrow night for sure.